Paula, why isn't my business making more profit? This is a question that I get asked frequently. And it's not from people who are struggling in business. It's from people who on the surface have a great looking business. They've got clients, they've got money coming in, they offer a good service, they get great feedback, they work their bits off. On the surface, everything looks good. But then at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the year, there's just nothing left, or there's just so little left that it feels like a really thankless task. And it's so often difficult to understand what are the nuances, what are the small tiny things that are making this difference so that the profit is somehow seeping away. So that's what I really want to focus on today. I want to help you understand how to become more profitable. And it's not about bringing in more customers and doing more work. It's about being smarter and savvier with what you already do so it becomes more profitable and more rewarding. Now, very often the primary cause of a bit of a lack of profitability is a lack of financial awareness. Let's face it, most of us did not go into business because we love accounts and accountancy and spreadsheets and detail and all that kind of stuff. But when you run your own business, you have to take control of the finances and you have to develop your knowledge and understanding of those finances so that you are managing it instead of winging it. This is the big thing I see, is that so many people are winging it when it comes to the finances in their business. If you are managing your finances based on how much money is in your bank, then you're not really managing things at all. You've got to develop your financial awareness to a better degree than that. Now, the first thing I would say on that though is your accountant should be an absolutely enormous help here. If you work with the right accountant, they will be somebody who will very happily answer your questions, help you to really understand your numbers more, pinpoint certain things within the accounts for you to be aware of, and help you really understand what to focus on and what to measure. They will help you to understand things like the margins on your products or services, because the margin is what you're left with at the end of the day. They'll also help you to think about cash flow and forecasting and things like that, so that you can take some real financial ownership and really develop your financial knowledge and understanding. And what I'd say here is, this is something I often see as a really big turning point, is when a client of mine decides that they're going to step up, they're going to grow up, and they're going to start to really take financial ownership. This is very often a big turning point in the business, because all of a sudden they start to feel like a business owner and not somebody who's just winging it. So I'd absolutely encourage you to improve your financial knowledge and improve your relationship with your accountant. The other things that can really impact your profitability, a key one is being a little bit too woolly with your invoicing and with your credit control. Too many people invoice late or invoice inconsistently. If money is tight, the last thing you want to do is be late with your invoicing, because not only does it mean that your cash flow is then all up and down and you end up paying things out before you've got money coming in, that has a knock-on effect for quite a long time, and it's very hard to feel like you're financially getting back on an even keel if that happens. But what you also do is you set the expectation with your customers. And if you invoice late and if you don't follow up if they pay late, then essentially what you're saying is it's okay. It's okay to pay when you feel like it. You just pay us when you get around to it. And that's an absolute nightmare for your cash flow. And that will always end up having a knock-on effect on your profitability. So invoice promptly, invoice consistently, invoice professionally, and do the same with your credit control. As soon as somebody is late, get on to that, follow up consistently, and make it super clear that late payment and sloppy payment is just not something that goes in your business. The other key thing I find with lots of people is that you are assuming you're Superman. You are expecting to be doing chargeable work 90-80% of the time, and the truth is that it's probably more likely to only ever be 50-60% of the time. So if you are essentially expecting to be able to bring in double the customers and increase the profitability because you're working with so many more clients, you're probably being unrealistic. So you need to really look at those targets and understand how many clients you're actually likely to work with, and therefore how much profit you need to be making from each client and therefore what your price needs to be, so that you can actually make sure you're delivering what the business needs, rather than expecting to be able to deliver to twice as many clients as is humanly possible, as many people do. And the other thing along those lines is what a lot of people don't do is charge for scope creep. So when you have a client that has signed up to a particular package, but they just keep asking you for a little bit extra and a little bit extra, and you feel a bit mean by kind of saying, do you know what, that should cost more, so you just do it. But actually, again, that's a great way to just bleed all the profit out of your business, because suddenly you are not making the income on that transaction that should be expected. What I would always encourage you to do on that is, if you don't want to be super pushy, just tell them the first time something happens, this is outside the package that you have paid for. If you're feeling nice, then you can say, that's okay, we'll do it this time, but I'm just letting you know that next time there would be a cost. So if you don't want to be too pushy, you can do it for them once, but let them know that time. So you're resetting the barriers so you don't get into the realms of constant scope creep and over delivering and under profitability. So there's a few hints and tips there to help you really focus on retaining more profit in your business, boosting your cash flow, and becoming much more financially savvy. If you need help with any of those joyous things in your business, get in touch with me at tailory.co.uk and let's have a chat about how I can help you.